Kevin Knuth, Gary Nolan, Jacques Delay, Avi Loeb, Kevin Knuth, Gary Nolan, Jacques Delay.
Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely.
Diana Pasoka, Hal Puda, Diana Pasoka, Hal Puda, Diana Pasoka, Hal Puda, Diana Pasoka, Hal Puda.
Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely. Disclosure process? Absolutely. This is not a joke. Like, none of this was a joke. This is not a joke. A joke. This is not a joke. Like, none of this was a joke. This is not a joke. A joke. Entertainment. 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 Entertainment.
What is catastrophic disclosure of catastrophic disclosure? And don't forget, what is catastrophic disclosure of catastrophic disclosure? And don't forget,
Controlled disclosure.
of catastrophic,
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 Controlled disclosure.
of catastrophic, societal disruption,
Catastrophic disclosure.
catastrophic,
Catastrophic disclosure.
societal disruption,
Catastrophic disclosure.
catastrophic,
Catastrophic disclosure.
Catastrophic disclosure, 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 catastrophic disclosure.
Psychological, theological, and psychological, philosophical, and theological, and psychological, theological, and psychological, philosophical, and theological, and psychological, theological, and psychological, philosophical, theological, and psychological, theological.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. I had originally had another broadcast planned for today, but given the big, I suppose, much to do about nothing on UFO Twitter, many people are celebrating because an Army colonel today said that aliens are real. But it's interesting that when asked about his evidence, all he had to share is some people said that they're real. Very credible people, he claims. But what I've learned here in UFO land is that you cannot take anything that people say at face value. You always have to dig a little deeper. Due to the many deceptive tactics used by, let's just say, these less than credible people. We're going to get into all of that. We'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. I also want to make sure that I take a moment to thank and recognize all the kindness, generosity, and support that we experienced over the weekend. For those unaware, we have begun compiling and streaming huge multi-hour long deep dives. I think we did an 11-hour one, a 10-hour one, and a 9-hour one over the weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This, again, is a takeoff of reusing some of our previous content, which I feel is well researched, sourced, and supported. Everything said in some of these broadcasts is well supported by evidence, which is I think sorely lacking in other shows. So we put together these huge deep dives on different people or subjects. We did one on Jimmy Church and Linda Moulton Howe, one on Ross Coulthart, and another one on Linda Moulton Howe. And these were very well received. And I have to say that over the weekend, everybody was so kind and generous. People bought like hundreds of memberships. People were throwing hundreds of dollars in super chats. It was really incredible to see. And while I didn't intend these multi-hour, very long deep dives to be a form of a fundraiser, that's kind of what happened. And I'm very, very thankful to all of you. So I just want to extend that thank you to everybody who contributed anything over the weekend. We got all these new members because people were buying, people were gifting memberships. For those unaware, that's another reason you should smash that subscribe button, because people keep buying these gift memberships. And if you are a subscriber but not yet a channel member here and somebody gifts memberships, I don't really know how it works, but somehow YouTube randomly gives out those free gifted memberships to people who are subscribers but not yet channel members. So before we even begin, be sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll know when we're doing a live broadcast here. Also, just wanted to take a moment to apologize for previous, we had some technical problems using this streaming location. I have two in my home now. One of them becomes unlivably hot during the summer months. It's an attic office room that has terrible ventilation. The only way to even be in there is with the air conditioner blaring, but unfortunately I can't stream with a loud air conditioner blaring the whole time I'm in there. So we have this alternate location, but we had some sort of strange problems. I think that we have gotten it fixed. And I am glad that, but let me know if there's any problems with the stream this evening. We certainly want to provide the best audio and video quality within reason. Some of you audiophiles are nutbags, but we do our very best to provide good quality. And I hate when some technical issue causes the video to look like, a potato was the camera, or the audio quality screws up. And, quite honestly, part of the reason I hate that is because even if the audio is bad for like 30 seconds out of a 5-hour stream, I get 10 emails, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to get into this Karl Nell. I always call him Karl Nell. I apologize. Karl Nell is his name. And predictably, the media has already begun copying and pasting what could be called credulous news stories about what was said at the SALT conference. Never mind that he provided zero evidence of his claims. U.S. Army colonel reveals presence of alien life on Earth. They've been here for a long time. At one of the most exclusive business summits of the year in New York City, an Army official made the startling claims of non-human intelligence interacting with the Earth. A startling revelation that is only believed by the world's population when it is said by a high-ranking official from any of the most powerful world governments just took place in New York during the summer of 2023. Former NRO officer David Grush testified alongside two Navy pilots in front of Congress. Remember, this guy is closely associated with Dave Grush. He's one of the prover maneuvers. For those unaware, we have chronicled something that I call the the wackadoo prover maneuver. That's when you get one guy who has no evidence making out of this world claims about aliens and UFOs, and then you just get another guy who has equally no evidence saying, yeah, that guy's telling the truth. That's what they did with Karl Nell. They used him to prop up the testimony of Dave Grush. But this is problematic, and we'll see why. That same former official was supposed to speak at the same stage where months earlier, Stanford tenured professor and lead immunologist Dr. Gary Nolan claimed he was 100% sure that a non-human intelligence is real and has been interacting with Earth for a long time. So Gary Nolan at the last SALT conference shows up and says, I'm 100% sure that a non-human intelligence is real and has been interacting with Earth for some time. His evidence? Trust me, bro. So this is kind of a repeat of what happened before. And I love how now Skyfire News is getting quoted by other media agencies. Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. The interaction is not new and has been ongoing. The potential evidence he presented to back up his claims is the fact that high-ranking officials from governments like Canada or Israel are making similar claims. So he's asked for evidence of this, and all he could say is that some high-ranking government officials said it. That doesn't look good for the true believer side. Hey, what's your best evidence? Well, some people said it. And we're going to get into this because I almost fell off my chair when he was asked for evidence, and he cites Paul Hellyer and a former Israeli space minister because they made similar claims. That means it must be true. Well, wait till I give you the full story of Paul Hellyer from Canada or this Israeli space minister and where they were getting their information from. This, my friends, is one big circle jerk. This is all one big self-licking ice cream cone or circle jerk. So, of course, we have UAP James. Retired U.S. Army Colonel Karl Nell discusses government disclosure of UAP. And, of course, all of the disclosure bros are having, their disclosure boners are going off like crazy. Oh, my God, a military official said the aliens are real. It must be true because a guy from the military said it's true. And as we saw in this article, now they're saying that Karl Nell has access to even more sensitive information than Dave Grush did. Wow, isn't that convenient? As soon as the Grush story starts falling apart, by the way, we're at 351 days, and there has been no evidence put forth by Mr. Grush that would support his out-of-this-world claims. And let's be clear, he also claimed that aliens are murdering humans. There's alien space monsters on Earth, and they're murdering humans, says a former mental patient. So it must be true because he was in the military. No, this is all one big circle jerk, and Karl Nell is part of that circle jerk, and we're going to get into it. But let me change my background here, and then we're going to get into this video. Interestingly, this whole conference took the video down, but I found an alternate source with the most important bits, so we'll be sharing those. And boy, wait, I just, as I was saying in the beginning of the broadcast, what I've learned from being in UFO land for too long is that you can't just take things at face value. And I think that's a huge part of the problem. Like Karl Nell is saying, well, a Canadian defense minister said that aliens are real, so he's in a position to know. Well, what Karl Nell didn't do is dig a little deeper and find out what did Paul Hellyer base his assertions and his claims on. He based them on the book The Day After Roswell. That's right. Paul Hellyer, former Canadian defense official, read Philip Corso's book full of factual inaccuracies and just straight lies about history, The Day After Roswell, and he believed the book The Day After Roswell to be 100% true. In fact, Paul Hellyer was a bit of a credulous man and just a true believer. He believed that if it was in a book, it was true. If somebody took the time to put it in a book, it must be true. And so Karl Nell is essentially saying, well, this top-ranking Canadian defense minister believes that the aliens are here, so it must be true. But again, this is extremely problematic because, like I said, you can't just, if you just listen to the surface, right? If you just take it at face value, well, a Canadian defense minister said the aliens are visiting Earth, and he's in a position to know, so must be true. If you just accepted that and didn't dig at all into the underbelly of the claims being made, sure, it sounds good. But I've been doing this long enough to know that many of these people are either intentionally deceptive in what they tell people, or they, like many people, just accept things without further investigation. And I'm here to tell you, just because somebody works for the government and they said the aliens are here doesn't mean it's true. And I get it. People are like, well, he'd be in a position to know. Sure, maybe, but that doesn't mean he is in a position to know. You have to take things there has to be some standards of evidence. And if Paul Hellier's standards of evidence is, I read in this book the day after Roswell that Roswell really happened, then, and it was aliens, then we have to call into question that person's discernment skills, that person's level of just regular logic and reason. He just read it in a book, so it's true. And again, if you peel back the layers of deception used to create that book the day after Roswell, what we find is it's fabrications and nonsense. We know that transistors and integrated circuits were well on their way to being invented. We didn't need aliens' help to come up with integrated circuits. We didn't need aliens' help to come up with fiber optics. And the people, or Kevlar, or some of the other things, lasers and other things that he said came from the Roswell alien crash retrieval material. No, many of the people that were historically involved in the creation of those things have publicly refuted Philip Corso and his false claims of alien technology being involved in those things. It's just not true. So we have layers upon layers of deception. Paul Hellyer, I'm sorry, he's a wackadoo. Paul Hellyer was a wackadoo. I think he's passed away. God rest his soul, but he was a wackadoo who believed anything that he read in a book. You can't, just because he read it in a book doesn't mean it's real. And Paul Hellyer made the media circuit. Oh, former defense minister of Canada says the aliens are real, so it must be true. Where did he get his information? It wasn't from secret things within the Canadian government. It was from books written by other wackadoos. He believed Michael Salla about all the secret space program shit. That's how crazy wackadoo Paul Hellyer was. But that's just one of the people. Anyway, let's get to the video before I lose my mind. I just can't believe that the true believers are having their disclosure boner party. And look at this, Mike Larry. Wow. Mike, thank you so much. Mike gifted 20 Truth Seekers memberships. And if that wasn't enough, he did it again. He gifted 20 Truth Seekers memberships twice, friends. And that's $5 a membership. So you do the math. How very, very kind and generous of Mike Larry. He's the MVP of gifting memberships. I can't thank you enough, Mike Larry. Thank you very much for your kindness, generosity, and support. Like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's 40 free memberships that are going to be given out thanks to the kindness, generosity, and support of Mike Larry. Can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for your kindness, generosity, and support. We'll go back and we're going to share this video of the SALT conference. Let me put my fair use banner up. This is fair use. This is transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the video that we are sharing. So let's get into it, friends. Before we get to the video, I have to share something funny about this whole situation. Yes, from at Phil J 1974. So, what evidence have you seen, Karl? He ain't seen shit. I don't know if I'm just getting so cynical about all of this. I don't understand why everybody's getting a disclosure boner because some Army colonel said the aliens are real, but he had no evidence to share. Isn't that a problem for you? Is just the confirmation of your belief system enough to get you excited? I don't get it. I don't get all these evidence-free claims and stories, and I don't get the excitement. There's people posting things on UFO Twitter today, like, this is a big day for disclosure. Former Army colonel says stuff. I mean, it's kind of comical, but it's kind of sad at the same time. And remember, this guy is in with the same group of people that have been swindling the media and swindling the public for at least since 2016. He's in with the same group of people that lied to the New York Times, that pushed this false UAP threat narrative. Same group, right? Great. All right, so let's share this video. This should be a short show. This is only 20 minutes of this, but I do have some other information to share about the people that he is citing for evidence. But before, yeah, 1 second. Let's do that. But let me also get this article together, because there is some interesting articles about one of the people that he is saying is an excellent source of information. This Israeli space minister. I think once you hear where that space minister was getting his information from, this whole thing becomes ridiculously comical. Like the fact that he mentioned that person. Yeah, and that, of course, is ex-Israeli space chief who talks about the Galactic Federation. And that man's name is Hayam Eshed. Not the most credible person, but you may remember there was a huge story not long ago that a former Israeli space minister said that aliens are real and Donald Trump knows about them. But wait till you hear where he got that information from. Now, remember, in this big circle jerk, this guy Karl Nell is saying Paul Hellyer, former Canadian spaceman or former Canadian defense minister, said the aliens are real. But Karl Nell forgot to tell you that Paul Hellyer didn't base his claims off of actual knowledge, firsthand knowledge of anything he saw while working within the Canadian government. He based his claims on a Philip Corso book that has been largely debunked and quite literally mocked as a joke. It's so ridiculously fake. And that is the Day After Roswell book. So this is the thing, and this is how this whole scam works. They go, well, former Canadian defense minister said the aliens are real. It's the lie by omission. They just forget to tell you that where that guy got his information from was a wackadoo who was selling a book, which, by the way, is still for sale years after his death, and his family is still profiting from a complete and total lie. And to be clear, I welcomed his son, Philip Corso's son, onto my show. He scheduled an interview with me, and then he canceled, which is a very common occurrence here. I think people just go, oh, the guy's got a UFO show, and they agree to do the show. Then they go and they see how skeptical we are, and they cancel. That's what happened in the case of Phil Corso's son. And it's too bad, because I had prepared, to hit him with all of the historical proof that his father's book was full of lies and inaccuracies. He canceled. So the circle jerk, that's how the circle jerk works. Oh, former Israeli space minister says that the aliens are here and Donald Trump knows about it. But they forget to tell you that former Israeli space minister was just repeating things that his granddaughter told him that she heard from Laura Eisenhower, a complete and total wackadoo. Laura, Laura's a nice girl. I've talked to her a few times on the phone. That's a whole story in and of itself, why I was speaking to her, but it had to do with our coverage of Corey Goode. And despite what I think of Laura, Corey Goode was like secretly recording Laura's husband and pumping him for information about whether he believed Corey or not and all this. It's crazy. But anyway, Laura Eisenhower is the granddaughter, or maybe even great-granddaughter, of President Eisenhower. And that's her only qualification. And she's a fixture at UFO conferences. She talks about the wackiest shit you could imagine. And we're going to get into it. But again, this guy says, former Israeli space minister says the aliens are real, forgets to tell you that he got that information from a complete and total UFO wackadoo who spent decades at UFO conferences talking all kinds of alien smack and never proven anything. Oh, former Canadian defense minister said it, right? And who was his other people that he mentioned? Lou Elizondo, the fake Pentagon UFO program director, who is right now, I believe, breaking the law, but I'm not a law enforcement officer. I got to ask a lawyer about this. He is marketing his book claiming that he ran a Pentagon program that he never ran. That wasn't a real program. It wasn't funded, had no offices, had no paperwork. And he's calling himself the director of that program to market and sell a book. I believe that's a form of consumer fraud. But that's just my opinion, but I'm entitled to it. And who else did he say is proof that the aliens are here? Well, Dave Grush said it, and Christopher Mellon. So he mentions two people that were part of what has been described as the TTSA techno scam, in which millions of dollars were collected while they were telling people or alleging that they may have pieces of alien spaceships in their possession, and they're going to build a spaceship. They collected $2 million. What happened to all that money? These are not the most credible people, right? And again, you have to dig beneath the surface. You can't just accept what these people are saying as true and reliable information. But this is a perfect example of the dangers of doing that. If you were to just listen to this guy, you'd go, well, he's a former Army colonel. By the way, he's a disgraced former Army colonel who was essentially forced to resign after all these allegations were made about improper conduct. And we've got all of the legal papers that describe that. We'll get into that. Allegedly pushed out and forced to retire. But like I said, if you take this at face value, well, we've got a former highly, great credentialed former high-ranking Army officer, and he says that the Canadian defense minister said the aliens are real, and he says that the former Israeli space minister said that the aliens are real, and so did this guy Lou Elizondo that we've heard of, and Christopher Mellon, former high-ranking defense, intelligence person. Well, that sounds very impressive. That all these high-ranking people are saying that they know the truth, and that the government really is hiding the truth, and the aliens are here. Sounds good. But once we pick apart and begin to peel back these layers of deception, it's all wackadoos. That's it. That's what you got to know. This guy's citing complete and total wackadoos who are getting their information from other complete and total wackadoos. But let's get into the video. And, and one other issue that we'll come back to that.
Thanks, Alex. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. It's a fantastic event, and I'm glad to see a large bunch of folks that stuck it out to the end for this talk.
And just for those unaware, David Grush was supposed to be speaking at this, but I don't know, for whatever reason, he didn't. And Karl Nell is his replacement to do this, the aliens are real speech. Which is, I don't understand why a business conference is having UFO people at it to tell everybody that the aliens are real. It's very strange.
Fortunate, I had a 4-year ROTC scholarship to Penn. I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering. The Army sent me overseas to do signal core engineering projects. So I did a lot of strategic comm projects in Europe.
Notice that, like Rush, his entire shtick is, look how credentialed I am. Look at my resume. He can't talk about the evidence he has because apparently he doesn't have any. So he's just going to tell you how credentialed and important his resume is. And this is very deceptive because this is another one of those layers of deception. Well, so if anybody would know if the government is really hiding the truth about aliens, this guy would. After all, he worked at Northrop Grumman, and he worked at Bell Labs, and he was a high-ranking Army intelligence guy. Okay. But that doesn't prove that he has any firsthand information or knowledge. And I have observed this guy at the Seoul Conference last year, which is the wackadoo group run by Gary Nolan and Dave Grush, and those wackadoos. And he doesn't appear to have any firsthand information. It's all stuff that he's repeating that other people told him. But it is what it is.
I ended up working in Army Space Command. I commanded a satellite ground station, war trace to the Joint Chiefs. I spent some time at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The Army ultimately
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That's where they keep the bodies, right?
sent me to get a master's in mechanical engineering, a master's in strategic studies, graduate work in computer science. I was on track to stay in, but I decided I wanted to pursue more of a technical career. So
he was on track to stay in. According to court documents that he filed, it was false allegations made against him. By the way, this guy has been accused of whistleblower reprisals in court while he was an Army officer. And according to these court documents, which we can share with you, he claims that he was essentially forced out of the Army by false allegations made against him. Now he's claiming he decided to quit the Army to go into a more technical career.
Then ended up working at Bell Labs, which was a fantastic place. Unfortunately, I was there during the trivestiture that folks may be familiar with, where the company got split up. I left Bell Labs and ended up working in Lockheed Missiles and Space. I worked at Northrop Grumman. I've run strategic technology programs in the defense industry.
Yeah, so listen to this resume. It sounds like, well, if anybody knows if the government's got aliens, this guy should know. He should have some information, right? That's how this scam works. Great credentials, just like Grush. Great credentials till you start digging a little deeper, until you start asking for evidence. Credentials are not evidence.
For a lot of the three-letter agencies, ultimately was a deputy chief of staff or deputy CTO for a $2 billion company. I was a vice president general manager of a Northern Virginia-based R&D firm.
Sounds impressive. Impressive resume. I'll give him that.
In the reserve, I commanded at every grade level through brigade. I was fortunate to stand up the Army's newest expeditionary MI brigade. I was the deputy chief of staff for a combatant command. Ultimately, this experience sort of combined to give me the
thanks, Mike Larry, Daisy B.
and advise Army Futures Command, the largest reorganization in the Army Reserve since really 1973, on how the Army could be more.
This guy it really only talks at the SALT conference for like 20 minutes, and 5 minutes of that is, look how impressive my resume is, which I guess, but I would rather have him talked about what evidence that he has seen in all of these roles that non-human intelligence is visiting Earth. But we don't get that. We get, check out how impressive my credentials and my resume is, because I can't really talk about evidence because apparently or allegedly I don't have any.
Effective. And my last assignment was involved with the UAP task force, which maybe is the most apropos for this discussion.
And so, Karl, here's the $1 million question. Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
Right. So non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing.
And what is he basing that on? Apparently he's basing that on other wackadoos said it's true. And he's going to talk about that.
And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.
And so, Karl, that is quite a bold statement. I'm wondering, and I'm curious, how confident are you that that is true?
There's zero doubt.
And
he has zero doubt that non-human intelligence is ongoing visitations on Earth. Zero doubt. That sounds like a faith-based belief system to me.
Karl, what evidence have you seen? What was the...
Now, here we go. He's asked, what evidence have you seen? And he dodges. He completely and totally dodges this question. The question is, what evidence have you seen?
Evidence have you seen? What was the moment where you developed this level of conviction? Because what you're saying is extremely consequential and very important. And I know that a lot of people here even perhaps may not believe that statement.
Right. Well, probably a better way to ask that is, how can the folks in the audience come to the, common understanding of what this phenomenon is. And so there's sort of two tracks here.
He totally dodges the question. What is the evidence? What is the moment of what did you see that made you so sure of this? Totally dodges the question.
One is from first principles, and another is actually from the data. So let's take a look at the data. So we can look at some folks that have very high level access.
People saying things without evidence is not data. Notice the careful use of wording. Let's look at the data. And then he starts telling you, now he's going to tell everybody that people said things. That's not data. People saying things without evidence is not data, in my opinion.
And another is actually from the data. So let's take a look at the data. So we can look at some folks that have very high level access to information, like Paul Hellyer, who was the defense chief for Canada.
He was a complete and total wackadoo. Paul Hellyer got his information and based his belief system on books like The Day After Roswell and other books.
Come out and said the same thing. We can look at Ham Eshed, the head of Israel's, or former head of Israel's Space Force, has said the same thing.
Yes, X is really, and I'm going to do something that I didn't think I would ever do, but I kind of have to because the only source I could find for where this Hamid Eshed got his information from is on the debrief. According to Shaked, he's the person who interviewed Hayam Eshed. Hayam Eshed is a believer in UFOs, saying nearly a quarter of the former Israeli space chief's recently released book, The Universe Beyond the Horizon, is about the UFO subject. However, though Eshed is a UFO enthusiast, Shaked says some of Eshed's most controversial comments are likely being taken out of context. When it comes to secret pacts between the U.S. government and extraterrestrials, rather sharing anything he had firsthand knowledge of, Shaked explained Eshed was citing information long put out by some of the more fringe circles of ufology, namely 40 years ago, old conspiracy that Dwight Eisenhower secretly met and signed an agreement with extraterrestrials. And what was the source of that? It was, according to ufological lore, in February, President Eisenhower secretly met with differing alien species dubbed the Nordics and the Greys at Edwards Air Force Base in California to discuss their motivations for visiting Earth and to sign a treaty between humanity and humans. So this is who Karl Nell is citing, this Hamid Eshed. And the conspiracy theory that Eshed is repeating comes from William Bill Cooper. In his best-known work, Behold a Pale Horse, Cooper claimed that while serving with the Navy's Office of Naval Intelligence in the 70s, he was granted access to classified documents describing President Eisenhower's meetings with extraterrestrials. Cooper also claimed a galactic space federation, and that's something Hamid Eshed mentioned, made up of 18 different extraterrestrial species existed. Cooper's book is an amalgam of now well-known conspiracy theories, such as HIV and AIDS was created to decrease the population of African Americans, Hispanics, and the LGBTQ communities. John F. Kennedy was assassinated because he was about to reveal extraterrestrials were taking over Earth, and a global cabal of elites called the Illuminati secretly ruled the world. So we see this self-licking ice cream cone. Somebody makes claims, they don't really prove those claims. And by the way, Cooper has been largely discredited as a complete and total wackadoo. He was not in a position to be reading classified documents in his role in the Navy. People have proven that. And he later claimed that he was a victim of disinformation, and none of that stuff that he talked about aliens was actual, true, or real information. So isn't that interesting that we have Nell going, well, this Hamid Eshed from Israel said that the aliens are here, and he's an Israeli space minister. Ironically, another major component of the Eisenhower aliens tale is President Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. In addition to believing her great-grandfather met with aliens, Laura Eisenhower, who describes herself as a medicinal astrologist, global alchemist, and cosmic mythologist, has publicly espoused many questionable beliefs. In an interview with Vice News, Miss Eisenhower said maintaining a vegan diet allows one to connect with aliens and other sky beings, and that humans were really multidimensional beings. While sky beings are elemental, according to Eisenhower, there is a negative ET agenda promoting a vampire system as part of an ongoing alien invasion. Much like Cooper, she espouses some pretty common conspiracy tropes. There are nanoparticles and chemtrails that are absorbing into our body, and the danger is that these particles will link up into an artificial intelligence system, claimed Eisenhower. So this Hayam Eshed is repeating, and by the way, he said this publicly, he was repeating things his granddaughter told him that she heard from Laura Eisenhower. Do we see the problem with Karl Nell saying, Hayam Eshed, he's credible, he's an Israeli space minister, and he said the aliens are here. So, yeah, there's that. This information was derived from public information and was not something Eshed had learned during his official duties. We really didn't get into that because there was so much else to talk about, and I cannot really tell you what he was referring to, only that he mentioned the Galactic Federation had 9 members. Great. Shakid's latest comments, that's the journalist who interviewed this Hayam Eshed, his latest comments seem to throw cold water on the idea that Israel's former top space executive was divulging secret information about a galactic federation or underground Martian bases. However, journalists didn't discount the fact that the origins of Eshed's UFO interest may stem from more credible sources. Shaked said there was other information he saw during his 30-year career. Yeah, so he's repeating, this Hayam Eshed is repeating stuff he heard from Laura Eisenhower. So when Karl Nell tells you, well, this Israeli space minister said the aliens are real, again, what he's leaving out is that the information that Hayam Eshed was basing his claims on came from complete and total wackadoos, Bill Cooper, and more likely Laura Eisenhower, who Hayam Eshed's granddaughter was a fan of and a bit of a new age nut. So this is very, very problematic that Karl Nell, he's asked, what is your evidence for saying that aliens are visiting Earth? Well, Paul Hellyer said it, and so did Hayam Eshed. He just doesn't tell you that those guys were just repeating things that they heard from existing UFO lore, existing UFO mythology. Welcome to this huge circle jerk. It's all one big circle jerk. That's what this is. It's been described as a self-licking ice cream cone. I describe it as a one big circle jerk. But let's continue with his comments. So we've gone through Paul Hellyer, and anybody can look this up and listen to Paul Hellyer interviews and know he specifically mentions the Day After Roswell book in several interviews. And Hayam Eshed, though great, he was a former Israeli space minister, you know, he was in charge of their space program. I don't know when the last time Israel was in space. I don't seem to recall very much, you know, of a space program that they have, but okay. So Karl Nell asked about evidence. He cites 2 complete and total wackadoos who were repeating complete and total wackadoo claims from other wackadoos. It's one big wackadoo UFO circle jerk, friends. Christopher Mellon, who was part of the alleged TTSA techno scam, who was wrong about those 3 videos, who stood in front of a party balloon and said it was an alien spaceship. Again, this is Christopher Mellon is as credible as a crackhead. All right? I'm going to say it again. Christopher Mellon is as credible as a crackhead. Karl Nell might as well have just sat there and said, a crackhead said aliens are visiting Earth. Therefore, it must be true. Christopher Mellon is as credible as a crackhead. Asking you for gas money to get home or something.
This is Deputy Assistant Secretary for Intel, SAPCO, has essentially said the same thing. Lou Elizondo,
also part of the alleged TTSA techno scam, which allegedly defrauded investors out of several $1 million. Nobody got their investment money back because They didn't build the spaceship they promised everybody. And who else? Oh, he's going to say Dave Grush.
Said the same thing. David Grush has said the same thing.
David Grush has said the same thing. So this, my friends, is an incredible example of what I call the wackadoo prover maneuver. One wackadoo who has no evidence says something. And then people say, well, what's your evidence for that? And then wackadoo number one says, well, wackadoo 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 said this is true. Therefore, it must be true. But he forgets to tell you that wackadoo 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all as evidence-free as he is. It's one big circle jerk. This is the best example of a UFO circle jerk I've ever seen. This clown stood up in front of an audience and said, these wackadoos said the aliens are here, so it must be true. And isn't it interesting, right? That this is the guy who was used to back up Dave Grush's claims, and that's another example of the wackadoo prover maneuver. Dave Grush gets up and says, alien space monsters are murdering Earthlings. And this guy gets up and says, Dave Grush is 100% credible. Absolutely, he's telling the truth. Neither of them have any evidence of the claims being made. Now, this clown's going out on a limb. Even, you know what, I shouldn't characterize him as a clown. I apologize. I think that some of these people, part of me thinks that many of them just desperately want to believe this, and they don't dig beyond the surface. For all I know, this man is a very intelligent guy, and he heard these things, such as Paul Hellyer said that aliens are here, such as Hayem Eshed of the Israeli Space Agency said the aliens are here. He heard Dave Grush say it, Elizondo, and he thought it must be true because all these people are saying this. But he did not dig beneath the surface like we do here. We have now peeled back some of these layers of deception, but I don't know. I would be speculating, is this Karl Nell being purposefully deceptive? And is he purposefully leaving out the information that I'm sharing with you that proves that this is one big circle jerk? Or is he just ignorant of the actual history, ignorant of the actual facts that prove or disprove that any of this is real? It could be either way. He could be being intentionally deceptive for whatever purpose, possibly to raise money for the foundation I believe he's a part of with Gary Nolan and Dave Grush, or he could just be stupid and didn't do any research on the people making these claims, and therefore he was convinced. It's interesting. All right, we're going to continue. So when asked for evidence, it's important to point out that his so-called evidence is other wackadoos said it. So what we've got here is a wackadoo prover maneuver in which one wackadoo, Karl Nell, says non-human intelligence is definitely visiting Earth. Then he gets asked for evidence, and he does the wackadoo prover maneuver. What's your best evidence that aliens are visiting Earth, Mr. Nell? Well, Paul Hellyer is a wackadoo, and he believed other wackadoos who he read books about, and Hayem Eshed is a wackadoo who repeated claims made by Laura Eisenhower. And then we've got the two alleged TTSA techno scammers who quite possibly or allegedly might have defrauded the public out of millions of dollars while making false claims of spaceship parts and false claims of building a spaceship. This is not looking good. Oh, and of course, Dave Grush said it. You know, like I said, this is the perfect example of this, what Sean Kirkpatrick described as a self-licking ice cream cone, and what I described as a UFO circle jerk. All these guys are just telling each other stories. That's all they've got. There is no evidence.
David Grush cleared for presidentially level material. So you're looking at people that are in a position to know this, and they're telling you the same thing.
Like Mr. Nell. Mr. Nell appears to be somebody in a position to know this. But when asked for evidence, what does he say? Some of my wackadoo friends said things.
You could take a look at the Gang of Eight in the Senate and in Congress. So there's two members of the Gang of Eight, Marco Rubio and Senator Chuck Schumer, that signed up to the UAP disclosure amendment last year that basically said they're not being told the truth and we need to push forward on that.
I think he's playing fast and loose with the facts. Show me a quote where those two said that. And people have made this false equivocation or false equivalency argument that because Rubio and Schumer, got together to pass a law about UAP, it all must be true. No, Congress passed laws after the testimony of the Raelian UFO cult before Congress. But it turned out that the Raelian UFO cult completely and totally lied to Congress. There's another stupid argument that I get from stupid people. The counter keeps going up, and I mentioned that Dave Grush hasn't provided any evidence for 351 days. And a UFO Twitter idiot says, oh, but he hasn't been prosecuted for lying to Congress for 350 days. So what he said must have been the truth. No, people are rarely prosecuted for lying to Congress. In fact, the Raelian UFO cult provably lied in front of Congress multiple times. They were never prosecuted. And after their testimony, laws were passed based on their testimony. So these are two false equivalencies. Oh, well, they passed laws based on Grush's testimony, so he must be telling the truth. No, that doesn't prove anything. Welcome to the circle jerk, though, where people will cling to whatever they can to stay in their evidence-free, faith-based belief system that this is all true.
So that's sort of an overview of some of the data. From a first principles standpoint.
That's an overview of some of the data? That's not data. That's hearsay. That's people saying things. And by the way, Lou Elizondo has been here since 2016. What is Lou Elizondo? What is that, 8 years? What has Lou Elizondo proven about non-human intelligence? What has he proven about alien spaceships? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing for 8 years. But you know what he did do, Mr. Nell? Lou Elizondo filled his pocket with every UFO dollar he could find. And he's still filling his pocket while lying to consumers and marketing a book based on the lie that he ran a program he never ran, allegedly.
Point. What's so unusual about this realization? There's billions of stars in the galaxy.
Now we get philosophical arguments for, there must be aliens.
In 500 million years, which is basically a blink of an eye. We've found planets around every star that we've looked at. It's likely that the universe is full of life. If you look at the SETI program in particular, the SETI program has all the same assumptions that you would accept and probably make with respect to this topic, except that they believe that non-human intelligence is transmitting signals here. But at the same time, like, we're not transmitting signals. SETI doesn't transmit signals, and the only signals that are actually broadcast of high enough power into space for somebody to pick up come from broadcast television and ballistic missile early warning systems, which you could argue our technology is moving away from. We're going to satellite, we're going to fiber. Broadcast TV is a thing of the past. And if you get to some state where society is stable,
I'm sorry.
Maybe we don't need
one second
early warning system. So
I was saying, I apologize. That cough button, sometimes I forget to turn it back on. He's asked for evidence, and all he can say is other people said things. And we could see where some of those people were basing their claims and information, that they were repeating claims from complete and total wackadoos. Now he just goes on with philosophical ramblings too. Like, whoa, there's so many planets and exoplanets being discovered as a statistical probability that there must be intelligent life somewhere in the universe. And that may be true, but that's not proof or evidence that non-human intelligence or aliens are visiting Earth. Those are two completely and totally different things, but this is what we get. You ask him for evidence, and all he has is some people said some things, and philosophical ramblings that there must be aliens.
Well,
That's
the
not
other guy
evidence.
is probably not going to transmit. But what the other guy may do is come here if that's possible to do. And there's physics models that suggest that may be possible.
And Carl, I mean, what you're saying is extremely consequential.
And by the way, there are physics models that say some form of faster than light travel may be possible, but it's all extremely theoretical. There's no proof that anything can go faster than the speed of light, with a few possible exceptions, I suppose.
Referenced other people that have said the same thing that also have similar credibility. There's similar reasons for why we should believe many of these folks, yet the government itself has not formally disclosed. They've been very reluctant to do that.
This interviewer just called those people who said those things credible. And I'm here to tell you, credible people don't repeat things from Laura Eisenhower as true and real or accurate information. Credible people don't repeat 40-year-old conspiracy theories from Bill Cooper, a largely discredited UFO idiot who shot and killed a police officer and then was shot and killed by the police. He was a paranoid conspiracy whack job. Credible people don't defraud the public out of millions of dollars while standing next to, I don't know, a picture of a balloon claiming it's an alien spaceship. Credible people don't defraud the public claiming that they ran a Pentagon UFO program that they never did. This is where the confusion comes in. This guy is about as well read on the UFO topic as a 2-year-old. He doesn't know that Karl Nell just mentioned a bunch of people that no one that is a serious researcher, investigator, or journalist, real journalist, would consider credible sources of information. Let's continue.
Why? Why do you think that is?
So there's 6.
Why the cover-up? Now we're going to get more philosophical ramblings with no proof. He makes an awful lot of claims here, but he's light on any evidence or proof.
Basic reasons. And this, again, you could draw this out from first principles. There's a national security reason. There's the lack of a plan. There's the potential for societal disruption. There's the
If you say so,
possibility that
Mark.
there's some non-public agreement.
I think there's a such thing as the speed of light.
And the desire to cover up misdeeds. And there's
the pale white horse. Ooh, spooky.
And lack of priority that might be associated with the topic. So all these things are factors. The
business development and growth expert consultant
assumes all the others.
Yeah, I guess his job is to grow the soul business.
To contract the national security issue, similarly to what was done with nuclear weapons and nuclear energy, such that nuclear energy is not necessarily classified as available.
Chuck Bam says Laura Eisenhower took a space elevator to Jupiter.
And the potential for societal disruption are key ingredients that would prevent any responsible leader from coming forward with information
fear-mongering
that they don't have the means to address in a responsible way. It would be irresponsible to do that.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you have absolute conviction
Stop saying
that
first
a higher
principles.
form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet, that there are factions within our own government that know about this, yet we still don't have a plan, and
Mine
they
too.
may represent a security issue.
He did. This is extremely poor performance.
Yet you still believe that we should disclose. Is that right?
Correct. Right. So there's really 3 reasons that trump all those others, and those others are basically valid, like I said. So the first issue is the moral right. The government exists for and by the people.
They'll next bring out Victor as a witness, says 105 North Side. Yes, from the alien interview scam. That was a hoax.
And the pursuit of happiness requires.
Love you, John Stewart, but you are dumb as shit.
Kind of overarching philosophical foundation for this. But, as a corollary,
the only thing dumber than the alien interview is
MH370. If there's lack of proper oversight, which is suggested
by
some of the whistleblowers, that needs to be
tacos
remediated.
and a burrito.
So the first issue is the moral issue.
Sorry for the
second
delay.
issue is being in a reactive mode is never preferable to being in a proactive mode.
He said Trump. That is comms.
So reactive mode is basically
secret
trying
comms.
to prevent disclosure. But failing that, you might get a situation where you have catastrophic disclosure. that creates all the problems that you were trying to prevent. So a more
catastrophic disclosure. Remember, we started the show with the broadcast. Thank you, Simon Fly, for that wonderful music video, Catastrophic Disclosure. And isn't it funny how all these Kool-Aid drinking cult members just take the whatever hot talking point? Like, remember when everybody started saying NHI, non-human intelligence? And why did these UFO cult members feel the need to rebrand everything, right? UFOs gets rebranded to UAP, aliens gets rebranded to non-human intelligence. It's as if they're trying to erase the decades-long history of scams, hoaxes, and, fake stories about those very things. UFOs and aliens suddenly becomes UAP and non-human intelligence. It's just a rebranding or a repackaging of the same old stories that weren't true when they were told the first 10 times.
This middle path of controlled disclosure is the best way to do this, which is
we
an
gotta
argument for some amount of disclosure. And the third part is simply
We have to have
societal
controlled
advance
disclosure.
and global competitiveness.
Definitely.
More brain trust needs to be brought into this topic in order to make progress and to improve society. And so all three of those things together trump the 6 other reasons for non-disclosure.
And what do you think happens?
You're going to open the hermetic
if we
seals?
don't
Oh, no.
disclose? I know you mentioned this idea of catastrophic disclosure. Maybe disclosure.
Yes, read the book.
Forced upon us. How do you think about that?
So the situation is usually thought of as a binary state. It's like an all or nothing. And people
You're
sort of
right,
argue
wise
this, but
monkey.
anybody paying attention realizes the government has already indicated that unidentified anomalous phenomena are real. They're not ours, and they're not our adversaries. The Pentagon has said that. Like, for people that are paying attention, like, that show already dropped. So for a lot of
Show
people,
me a statement, an on-the-record statement where a government official said UFOs, UAPs are real, and they're not ours, and they're not our adversaries. He doesn't know that. That is a complete and total false statement. No one from the government has confirmed that it's not our adversaries. I'm sure some UFO or UAP sightings are not ours or our adversaries, but that doesn't mean it's alien. And again, with the false equivalence here. Well, it can't be ours and they can't be our adversaries. You don't know that. You don't know that they're not our adversaries. What about all the Chinese drones and drone swarms? Is that not adversarial technology? Of course it is. And by the way, those Chinese drones have been off the coast of Cuba, off the coast of the United States, on both coasts, the West Coast and the East Coast, I believe. There have been Chinese adversarial technology.
the second
Or
shoot-
suspected Chinese adversarial technology, considering they were somehow connected to Chinese fishing vessels, right?
drop is this is non-human intelligence, and maybe the conversation stops there. Like, the president comes out and says, there's non-human
Hey,
intelligence.
Pete Barry,
the
welcome.
truth is that will precipitate
No
this
problem.
crescendo of other questions that
Mike Rotundus talking about Wilcock and Archangel Michael.
Report, if not precipitate, potential negative ramification for society. And so, as an example,
I can't even pay
of
attention.
this, I would
It's like a
actually
bunch of
point to
word
something
salad.
from the ancient past, the Bronze Age collapse. So Eric Klein, Princeton University, 2015, wrote a very interesting book called 1177 BC, the age that...
Yeah, if you don't know what it is, how do you know what it isn't? Exactly.
And
Good
so
point, Mike Rotunda.
This is well known to current scholarship. Within a single lifetime, all of the very effective ancient civilizations of the Bronze Age failed due to a confluence of reasons that are not necessarily fully understood today. So we're talking about Egypt, the Hittite Empire, the Minoan Empire, the Manasseh Empire, the Babylonian Empire. All these civilizations failed, never to return, other than, let's say, Egypt.
Ask for proof. Let's
And
talk
so
about the
these
ancient
are highly
Egyptians
sophisticated
and the Bronze
civilizations,
Era.
highly developed infrastructures, highly developed administrative states. They were globalist, in a sense, very similar to today in terms of the known world, the known Near East. They were economically interdependent. They had both diplomatic ties and commerce ties. And yet these civilizations failed in a single lifetime because of stressors that these civilizations collectively could not address within.
What does any of this have to do with aliens and UFOs? I'm just confused by this guy and his rambling, I guess.
Within the time frame. And so if we look at our society today, one might argue that it's similarly fractured.
He doesn't answer a
economic
single
stress,
question
similarly
posed to
under,
him, just rambles nonsense.
Cultural stress
It's really something, Chris.
And fragile diplomatic situation. It mirrors very
Welcome,
much
William
the
Runner.
scenario.
Thanks for being a member.
And so for a responsible decision maker, that is certainly a factor.
And so I guess when you say that, are you implying
Interesting,
that
William
perhaps
Runner.
we as a society
Thanks for that.
may
Thanks
not
for being
be
a member.
ready for disclosure?
Oh, we're not ready
or are
for
you
the
saying
aliens to
that
come.
we may not be able to defend ourselves against this other force?
So there's sort of different viewpoints on
He's getting paid.
whether
Word.
people are
That's funny,
deal
Emerald
with this
Rascals.
phenomenon. And popular culture is kind of infused with this stuff. Roswell became a meme a long time ago. We got programs on ancient aliens, Skinwalker Ranch, all this stuff. I guess I would draw an analogy, though, for people believe in a certain faith tradition, whatever that faith tradition
That's
is.
his plan to
and
dazzle
hold to
you
that,
with
subscribe
bullshit.
to that in
AJ
a
is
very
here.
Serious
Says you are
and
doing good
devout
work.
way.
Thank you, AJ.
And
I didn't know.
it
We're
sort of
starting to get
posed the
comments
question,
from the
even
X
for folks
feed
of
now.
that ilk, and I
Nice.
count
Thanks,
myself as
AJ.
one, if you're confronted with the reality of
Two
your
Trumps.
religious
He's a white
beliefs,
hat.
reality
Said
of the
Trump twice. He's a
metaphysical,
white hat. Yes.
an angel, a messenger from God, what have you.
Yeah.
That's going to be a sea state
Mark,
change
be
in
kind
your,
to
in
the
your way
other
of dealing
live
with reality.
chatters,
Though you
or you're not welcome here.
Right. So it's one
So
thing
only
to believe, and it's
rule.
another
Be
to
kind
know.
to the other
And I think in
chatters.
this context, this phenomena has an analogous.
This topic is
potential for an
infuriating.
analogous
Says
effect
AJ,
both
I
on the
know.
individual and on society.
Yeah, but do you think that the phenomena, this non-human form of intelligence, represents a threat to humanity?
So this is a good question too, and some of the other folks have sort of framed things in that light. And I guess I would suggest that if the universe is governed by conservation laws, and it's probably reasonable to assume the laws of nature that we understand.
Here we go. There's a
apply
huge
everywhere.
alien
We may
threat
have
on the
incomplete
horizon.
understanding,
Fear-mongering.
we do of these laws, but they're sort of homogeneous and they apply throughout the universe. And so those laws
If you say so,
governed by
Mark.
conservation rules. There's
I think
conserved
somebody
quantity.
ate some crazy
And
pills
so
today,
this
friends.
reality really forces a Darwinian type competition in order to survive.
Yeah,
And so
nothing
it's reasonable
happened.
to assume
Yes,
any
be
other
nice,
civilization
everyone.
that's evolved
Good advice from
has come
Patty
up through
Wilhelm.
the same Darwinian evolutionary process. So I think it's naive to expect complete altruism until and unless you get to a state of post-scarcity, where you essentially have no physical needs that we're kind of encumbered with in
I like how he's wearing like a Men in Black suit too while he's talking about the aliens.
this universe. So in some sense,
He needs a black tie
the
though.
economics of the future
If he had a black tie, he would match Dark Journalist's outfit 100%.
that are going to determine whether there's cooperation, competition, or some kind of symbiosis.
Yeah.
He never
And,
answered the damn question. Yeah.
informed
Over and over
intent,
again. He
but
dodged
to
every
assume
question just about.
Either malintent or complete altruism, I think, is somewhat naive.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is it's impossible to know.
Yes, the evil Draco are suing David
We
Wilcock
may
for
be
slander.
competing for the same scarce resources. We may not be, right? We may be almost irrelevant to them, and they may be.
Yeah, I have to get that
altruistically,
translated,
although we
Michael
cannot
Dean. It's
safely
on my
assume
list
that.
for this week.
And so I guess I'm curious.
This
We
is a
continue
good
down this
question
disclosure
that
path.
I'm not going to
Do you believe
answer, says
disclosure
Arlene
has-
Atkins. Thanks for being a member.
So, again,
Yeah, he
people that
needs a
sort of
black
look
tie.
at this topic and study it, and there've been some good examinations on this from a historical standpoint, have realized that we're not in really a new state. Like this sort of disclosure emphasis has come and gone over time, and so this is not the first time we've arrived at this stage. I would suggest that maybe the peak of this current cycle happened. last
Multi-level
December
marketing
with the
always
Schumer
talk about
Amendment,
scarcity.
and then it
Yes.
got rolled back. It was defeated in the House. And so it remains to be seen, if the process
Yes,
is going to continue.
he does. He speaks like a
One
politician.
hopes
They
that
never
maybe draws a
answer
little
what they're
bit of,
asked either. Yes.
Confidence that maybe this will come around is the colloquy that
You're
Senator
correct,
Schumer and
AJ.
Senator
Yeah, I
Rounds
agree with
had
you.
back in December. After the
He must be an
amendment got
Amway
killed,
salesman,
they
says
basically
Admiral
went on the
Rascals.
Senate
Thanks for being a
floor
member.
and articulated
An
their
Amway salesman.
rationale for the legislation. And I think Senator Schumer, to quote him, almost said it was a travesty that this did not pass.
Yeah, and the reason it didn't pass is because people like Travis Taylor and Brandon Fugel put the kibosh on that because they didn't want somebody coming and taking their Skinwalker scam evidence or whatever.
So this is, a bipartisan colloquy on a topic that I guess most people would probably consider fringe, and yet these two senators felt the need to do that and to double down
I agree,
on their
Mike Rotunda.
desire to see.
You need to tie the belt and the shoes.
Hopefully we'll see maybe a reintroduction of some version of that this summer, with the goal of maybe putting it into the NDAA by the end of the year.
Do you think that it's imperative that the United States leads on the disclosure efforts?
So this is an interesting question too, because this is a global phenomenon and it's affecting other countries just like the United States.
It's a global phenomenon. Everybody ever see that map of worldwide UFO sightings? They're almost all in the United States. There are some in other countries, but they're not as common. They're super common in the United States. If you look at that map, the United States is lit up like a Christmas tree with hundreds, thousands of sightings all over the map of the United States. Other countries, maybe they got 1 or 2 sightings a year or whatever the case may be. So this is another false talking point. This is a global phenomenon. No, it's mostly centered in the United States for whatever reasons.
On this is clear over decades. Other countries have reported this stuff. And not only that, the Vatican has come out and made statements.
I agree.
That reference or tangentially reference this.
I agree. So the NDA is an excuse, AJ.
Has to say in this topic as well. So it's really
this guy doesn't know the words yes and no.
Humanity problem.
Ties. I don't think it's too bad a tie.
But these other countries have their role to play, and it would behoove us to recognize that
they never abduct colored people. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good point.
Probably more conducive.
Don't the aliens like black people? Or
one thing that I don't
they don't want to
understand that I'd love to get your thoughts
anally
on,
probe the black
if we assume
people. I don't get it. It's all white guys. You're right.
Intelligence has been visiting
mostly.
The planet. If we assume that some of the statements made by folks like Dave Grush are true, that we have crash materials, and if we assume that those craft that we may have exhibit characteristics that defy our current understanding.
Oh, Betty and Barney. You're right. That's one case, but it's mostly white guys self-licking ice cream cone.
An incredible strategic advantage to whatever nation ends up reverse engineering it first. And so to me, that would imply that there is a race happening to reverse engineer this and that this topic would be a top priority. Do you agree with that?
So I think some of what you say is a reasonable conclusion to be drawn. And I've suggested something similar in past statements. The point here, though, is
a race to reverse engineer alien technology.
Disclosure world, maybe 2 stable states that are separated by an unstable middle ground. And so how
people hating on this tie, Daisy B.
This speaks to the concern about this catastrophic disclosure. And this has come up in sort of arms regulation too. Mutually assured destruction, however much we don't like it, is sort of a stable kind of geostrategic regime.
Could be troll.
The Reagan era defense shield idea is also a very stable scenario, but to go from one to the other is very unstable.
Yeah.
And so this topic sort of mirrors that.
Yeah. And I know you and I were talking earlier about this idea that in order to really understand the phenomena,
good point, Daisy.
It's likely that we have to further our understanding of reality itself. And I guess I'm wondering, I can imagine a future where
that's interesting.
We know that there is a higher form of non-human intelligence, yet we still don't truly understand the phenomena. We still don't truly understand reality. And so I guess I'm wondering, do you think that we'll ever truly understand what's going on? Or if part of the game, part of the journey, part of life itself is operating in an environment where at least part of it is fundamentally unknowable to us?
So this is it's totally philosophical, epistemological question, right? Really about the nature of knowledge itself, right? Like, how can we know what we know, and how can we be sure about it? I guess personally, I subscribe to the idea that there is an ultimate truth, and that humanity, being created in the image of a higher power, is endowed with the quality.
Yeah, we barely understand human intelligence. Good point, Anna Louisa. Thanks for being a member.
Part of our objective in this existence is to
never go full inch in aliens.
To understand that ultimate truth to a greater and greater degree. And this would be a component of that, obviously.
Yeah. Well, Karl, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. I'm hopeful and optimistic that together, maybe we can move the ball forward here and further our understanding of what is really going on, because I certainly agree with you. I think it is very consequential that we figure this out. So thank you again for coming. Thank you again to Salt for hosting us. And thank you all for listening. Bye.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so we made it to the end, but I, for one, would just like to know, like, what is a business fundraising conference have to do with aliens and non-human intelligence? Well, it may appear that people from the Soul Foundation, Gary Nolan appeared here last time, and I believe Karl Nell is part of the Soul Foundation, are trying to get people to invest money so that they can continue their so-called research. Patty says DEI UFO grifters. Interesting that we've got another high-ranking military official making completely and totally evidence-free claims. And the dodges of this one were truly remarkable. I don't understand true believers getting a disclosure boner over anything this guy said. He basically said, when asked for evidence, he basically said, some wackadoos said some things, so it must be true. And listen, let's address that point. There are apparently wackadoos in high-ranking government positions. I mean, we've got people like Travis Taylor in getting a government job studying UFOs when he can't tell the difference between a fly flying by a camera and an alien spaceship doing 30,000 miles an hour. It's just absolutely ridiculous that these people are in the government. And then we've got Dave Grush, former mental patient, claiming that the government has aliens and spaceships and alien space monsters are murdering human beings and more. It's disturbing that high-ranking people within the United States government have these belief systems. AJ says, I think that if Elizondo has nothing conclusive, it will signal the end of the grift. No, he's going to keep grifting. He's going to keep grifting. I don't think it will signal the end. Pardon me, friends. Non-human intelligence is found in abundance at these meetings. It says Tales of Sonic Voyage. Arlene Atkins-Zell, thanks for being a member, says, even if scientists found 100% definitive proof that there were no aliens, these grifters would find a way to get around it. Yeah, the grift is strong with some of these people. Skeptic Meets Believer, thanks for being a member, says he dodges questions like Neo dodges bullets in the Matrix. This was perhaps the dumbest interview that I have ever covered. I'm just going to put that out there and say that. This was the dumbest interview that I ever covered. And the fact that this guy is citing complete and total other wackadoos said things, that's his evidence. If this isn't proof, this should be considered proof that when the self-licking ice cream cone theory, or the small group of UFO promoters and activists promoting these ideas without any evidence, this should be proof that that's true. This man is speaking in front of a prestigious conference. He says wacky things like, "Oh, the aliens are definitely visiting Earth." He gets asked for evidence, and he says, other wackadoos who got their evidence from other wackadoos said it's true. That's data. No, that's not data. That's people saying things without proof or evidence. Wise monkey. Luzondo going to come OG with a fortune cookie statement about how Nell is a true patriot, guaranteed. Yeah. And Arlene Atkins says that interviewer is not interested in answers or hard questions. This was more like a campfire chat. I can't say that I disagree with you. Wise Monkey says it was so silly it made me laugh. Yeah, this is the stupidest UFO interview I've ever seen. This guy just dodged every question. He's asked for evidence, and his only reply is, well, some wackadoos said it, and they got their information from other wackadoos. It's all one big circle jerk. This is evidence that the UFO circle jerk theory that we've been talking about here for years is true. It's all the same group of people jerking each other off and telling each other alien stories. There may be some anal probing going on in these UFO circle jerks. I don't know if they're just jerking each other off or if they're butt banging each other too and anally probing each other, because we all know that aliens love that anal probe, and I don't know, these guys love aliens. So Daisy B says, I don't feel bad for those still giving these people money. They are willfully being ignorant. There is so much evidence that they're all full of crap, you can't feel bad for them anymore. Yeah, Archaic Revival says, who benefits from this garbage? Well, they're fundraising for their foundation, so there's a financial benefit from this garbage, right? XXX said, I thought that was Richard Dawson, the host of the old Family Feud. Yeah, he does kind of look like him, yeah. Yeah, those grays get nasty when they don't get any anal for a while. Gross, Admiral Rascals. Yes, definitely gross. Diddy likes to do anal probing too, says Archaic Revival. All right, so I'm going to stop my screen. We're going to take some comments and questions from the live chat, but I have some announcements to make. First and foremost, be sure that you follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion. You can also visit our website, which is truthseekershow.com. And from there, you can get all the latest Truth Seekers episodes, whether you prefer the video format or the audio podcast format. All the latest episodes are there at truthseekershow.com. You could also follow our Truth Seekers page on Facebook or follow me on Facebook, just Stephen Cambion, but I'm always running out of slots. They only let you have 5,000 friends, but we do have the Truth Seekers page. I want to take a moment also to remind everybody that we are a viewer-supported show. So far, we've had Mike Larry gifted 20 Truth Seekers memberships, which is very generous. It's basically $100, and he did it again, another 20 Truth Seekers memberships. Thank you so much for your kindness, generosity, and support. People should be aware that we read every single super chat. We read every single PayPal pledge as well. I always encourage people, if you're sending a large amount, you might want to do it through PayPal so that we keep more of it. PayPal only charges a couple of percent. YouTube gets 30%. So we appreciate you PayPal pledgers. We'll take a moment to thank Maria with a kind and generous $25 PayPal pledge, who says, I love the Ross Coulthard deep dive. I can't believe that people believe anything this guy says. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. We have such kind and generous people. I'm also supposed to remind everybody we're a viewer-supported show. Thank you, Maria, for your kindness and the PayPal. Yes, and I also wanted to mention, I was in the live chat for those huge, long broadcasts. I did try my best to thank every super chatter, but if I missed you, just drop me a note at truthseekershow@gmail.com. I'd be happy to call it out on a future show or on tonight's show if you email me before the broadcast ends. Yeah, this has been one of those days. I don't understand why. Every once in a while, I longed for the days where I wasn't so skeptical. You know, there was a time where I was all chips in, Kool-Aid drinking, true believer myself before I did enough adequate research, of course. I even missed the days where I was 50-50 on stuff, like where it might be true, before I was so skeptical and cynical, because I don't understand people getting this excited over what this Karl Nell said. He basically dodged every question. When he's asked for evidence, all he has to say is, some wackadoos said some things, and where did they get their information, Karl Nell? Oh, from other wackadoos. It's remarkable that this is all that it takes to apparently this is all that it takes to be a UFO celebrity. You just repeat things that other people told you. You have no sources. You have no, it is remarkable. Also, I'm supposed to remind you that we are a viewer-supported show. So we're going to play these bumpers. The show is not over. I'll be taking comments and questions from the live chat when we return from this very short break, reminding you how you can support the show. Please don't go anywhere. Sometimes I play these bumpers. People think the show is over. I still got some time to share with you. Be happy to answer comments and questions in the live chat. We'll be right back, friends.
Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like, and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.
Okay, friends, we're back and we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. Elmer Boilerhouse says, Linda Moulton Howe is 147 years old. She is kept alive by the serum extracted from mutilated cow anuses. It's unlikely. I think that's entirely true. And also, she killed those cows with a shovel, Elmer Boilerhouse. That old lady killed those cows with a shovel, right? Please bring back Trixie. I will. You know, it's been on my list of things that I have to do for a long time. For whatever reason, I somehow used a copyrighted piece of music, or the music wasn't copyrighted. It's very common on YouTube for musicians to release music and say, this is Creative Commons, you can use it for free. And later they change their mind and copyright the music. And then I'm left in a bad situation because I used that music 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden I get copyright claims due to it. I have to go through those bumpers and find which ones. I think it's only one or two of them, of those bumpers, have that music, and change the music out. You will hear it from them before the Griff Clowns with no evidence. Yeah. Comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. We appreciate the comments and the questions. It helps us to make things a transformative work, especially when we're doing commentary. Archaic Revival, the turning away point for me was hearing people say that they have video or picture proof and then go on to explain why they don't show them yet, and they never do ever. Yeah, it's the overpromise and the underdeliver. Anna Louisa says, the problem is that people believe in all the lies they are told, and there's a lot of lies about everything, especially this topic. You know, and Anna Louisa, by the way, thanks both of you guys for being members. Yes, I'm aware of that. There's a problem with the Redbubble store. Thank you, Daisy B. And I apologize for that. But for now, we're down to just the Amazon store, which I do think ships in England, the United States, and Australia. I'm not sure about anywhere else. Wingnut says, looking sexy. If you say so, I'm looking good, feeling good, and smelling good. That's half the battle. If you are having a bad day, just do your best to look good, smell good, and tell yourself you feel good, right? And sometimes you do. Yeah. So, you know, one of these things that I've been, this whole situation lately has kind of had me revisiting my former belief system. And that, you know, I used to just hear that somebody said something and I believed that they were telling the truth. If I found them, if I evaluated that there's, you know, whatever if I thought that they were a trustworthy person. And I too used to fall for this guy's in the military. But how many people that we know were in the military, like Wendell Stevens, like Robert Dean, like Charles Hall, who claimed to be in the military but really wasn't? How many people, even people that were, like Philip Corso, high-ranking military people, we're still grifters. We're still true believers. We're still selling less than credible information. And remember, I always say this, they are not telling stories. They are selling them. Wingnut says, my day just started. Thanks for the advice, Mr. Saucer Boss 07. Yeah. Tales of the Sonic Voyage says, they killed my channel because of music, Daisy. They suck. Yeah. AJ says, thanks for all you do. I started giving people talking about NHI the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I mean, I'm still willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's like this interview is a perfect example of the problem with the UFO thing. Somebody just says something doesn't mean it's true. You have to dig beneath the surface to get to the real truth of what people are really saying. And what Karl Nell is saying is, I don't have any evidence, but other people have repeated claims from other wackadoos, so it must be true because they were high-ranking. No, there's a long history of high-ranking military people just selling complete and total garbage, disinformation, misinformation, fake information, whatever you want to call it. Chris Johansson says, the good news for us is it seems to me that the hoaxing grifters like Grush have been pretty much exposed as garbage. The subject has totally died down in the news. Yeah, I mean, largely it has, except for things like News Nation. And, we're up to 351 days, and Grush has still not provided any evidence, which reminds me of something else I wanted to talk about. I'm not arguing with idiots on Twitter anymore. I can't believe this thread. This thread, I'm going to put it in the live chat. It's such a funny thread about all of this stuff. I posted this. Let me put it in the live chat before I forget. And I'll pin it in there. I'm going to put this link in the live chat. So if you want to see how UFO true believer idiots operate, right? This is a Twitter thread about Dave Grush not providing any evidence for 350 days. Let me share it on my screen here. And this is interesting. The thread itself is interesting. Just a friendly reminder. It has now been 350 days since Dave Grush started making his wacky claims. He has provided zero evidence to back up his claims so far. But don't worry, all his grifting scumbag friends made lots of money. And there we have it. 350 days, making huge claims, zero evidence so far. UFO Shane is here and says, this thread is full of true believers' tears. And I say, and don't forget, fake facts and excuses like it's classified or the ICIG is investigating his claims and found them urgent and credible. Yeah. But what's interesting in this thread is that people want to come and argue with me. And I'm sorry, I'm not here to argue with you, especially if you're too dumb to do basic research. And so I will say things in some of these threads, and then people demand that I provide evidence for things I'm saying. I said that in this thread, I said, To the Stars Academy collected $2 million from the public. You have to provide evidence of that. It's in the SEC filings. So I post a video where we show all of the documents that prove that, yes, To the Stars Academy collected several $1 million from investors. None of the investors got any of their money back. And people, like I said, I'm not arguing with idiots. So I post the video and then they say, I'm not watching this video. Okay, so you're going to tell me that I'm wrong when I say To the Stars Academy collected several $1 million. But you don't want to see the video in which I show all of the documents that prove that what I'm saying is factually accurate. No, I don't want to see the evidence. You're wrong, Stephen. Well, then you're a fucking idiot. If you refuse to look at the evidence, then you're an idiot, and I'm not here to argue with you. Then they demanded, I don't want to watch the video. You have to show me the links, the document links. Then I send it to them. Oh. I'll review this and get back to you then. After telling me that I'm a liar and wrong, 10 times, arguing with me because I said David Grush was a mental patient, that's a factually inaccurate statement. But I've agreed to say he was a former mental patient. That's more factually accurate. They'll still cry about something else. This thread is full of fake facts pushed by UFO grifters, fake disinformation talking points about Dave Grush, like urgent and credible. That lie needs to die. The intelligence community inspector general never said that his alien or UFO claims were urgent and credible. And in fact, the intelligence community inspector general is not investigating any of his alien or UFO claims. That's been proven. But people still want to argue, oh no, they're investigating it. No, they're not. It's been a year, dude. It's been almost a year. 14 more days. It's 351 days, by the way, making huge claims. 14 more days, and it will be a year since Dave Grush started making these claims. And we've still seen no evidence. And, 2 million, not several million. Yeah, I said 2 million, didn't I? I believe I said 2 million in the thread. Anyway, Chuck Bam, prove there are no UFOs. Yeah, that's another false equivocation. Just because I say that some people are lying, grifting, scamming scumbags in the UFO community, they always come back with that, Chuck Bam. What are you saying? Are you saying UFOs aren't real? The government admitted they're real. No, I'm not saying that. Oh, and then in this thread is a perfect example. They keep putting words in my mouth. You said all of this is fake. Show me on my show where I said all of it is fake. We go through each specific claim and prove if it's fake or it's not fake. I never said it's all fake. I might have said it's 90% fake or more based on my observation, experience, and research, and that is a factually accurate statement as far as I'm concerned. Daisy B says, see, they are willfully ignorant. They don't want to know the actual truth. Yeah, well, that's a problem. If somebody makes a factually accurate statement like To the Stars Academy collected $2 million from investors and then never delivered anything they promised, that's a factually accurate statement that I can back up with facts, evidence, and documents. But they don't even want to see the facts, evidence, and documents. They just want to argue with me. So I'm not wasting time in my life arguing with idiots. And again, I'm going to keep hammering this point too. Everybody on Twitter, most of the people that argue with me when I post things like this are brand new, nameless, faceless Twitter accounts. Brand new, anonymous sock accounts. That is who is white knighting for David Grush. Smells of a CIA psyop to me, but that's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. Why can't you post, valid questions like why hasn't Grush provided any evidence for 350 days now of his out-of-this-world claims without getting attacked and harassed by a bunch of brand new, nameless, faceless Twitter sock puppet accounts that want to tell you that this man is a hero? He's not a hero. He's a zero, as in zero evidence for 351 days now. But hey, don't worry. Karl Nell said he's telling the truth. And look at Karl Nell when asked for evidence of the aliens visiting Earth. Well, some wackadoos said it, so it must be true. This is the wackadoo prover maneuver. When one wackadoo makes statements and outrageous claims and has no evidence, and then another wackadoo comes along to say that first wackadoo is telling the truth. That's the wackadoo prover maneuver. We saw a perfect example of this wackadoo prover maneuver on this interview today. It's absolutely ridiculous. AI bots could be. No, I just think it's funny that they tell me, I want to see the evidence of your claims. And then I show it to them and then, I don't want to see that. I'm not looking at that. I'm not going to. They do it all the time. People tell me I'm wrong and I say, here's the show. I show all the evidence in the show. If you're really, truly interested in learning the truth, then watch the show. And I'm not just doing that, by the way, to promote my show. Like, your one view is not going to make a difference to my week, pal. I'm trying to educate you. And it's also the easiest way. How am I supposed to show you all of the evidence in a Twitter thread? It's much easier if I point you to a video that we produce where all the evidence and all the research proving what I'm saying is factually accurate is in the video. If I just give you the video, I don't care about your one view, right? But these people don't want to know the truth. They want to live in a delusional fantasy land where this is all real, and all they got is a bunch of people jerking each other off, telling each other stories. That's all this is. That's all you get. More stories. Don't worry, there'll be more stories next week and more the week after that. Rinse and repeat, right? And if we get really desperate, we'll all start talking about Roswell again, or talking about the Travis Walton case, or Betty and Barney Hill, or whatever. It's one big circle jerk. But just know that if you're unwilling or unable to even look at evidence, then don't tell me I'm wrong, you dumb dickhead. Don't tell me I'm wrong, you dumb dickhead. Everything that I say can be backed up by hard facts intensive research, and it's all collected in my shows. If you're going to tell me I'm wrong, you ignorant, dumb dickhead, then you better come with some real knowledge and information, because people could say whatever they want about me, but even many of my detractors will freely admit to you that I'm a walking encyclopedia of UFO and alien history. I have read it all. I have watched all the documentaries. I've read all the books, the articles, the newspaper articles, the magazine articles, anything that I could have consumed about aliens or UFOs for the past 30 years, I have. And I have a bit of an eidetic memory. So I remember facts, figures, dates, and the whole history of this thing. I guess I just need better wackadoos that can actually put up any form of real or cogent argument against my statements. But again, my statements are backed up by research and evidence and facts that we present here. If you're just going to say things on a Twitter thread, then you can go fuck yourself. I'm not wasting my time on a dumb dickhead that can't watch a video and learn something. And by the way, I get it. I'm very harsh and abrasive. I just, that's kind of my nature. I don't have time. And these people are always not verbally, typing, keyboard warriors. They're always personally insulting, ad hominem attacks, outrage, fake outrage. Oh my God, you called him a mental patient. Yeah, because that's a factually accurate statement. He was a mental patient. So I get it. Maybe I'm a little too harsh. But if you're going to start on one of my Twitter threads by insulting me or telling me how wrong I am, then come with evidence, you dumb dickheads, or don't post on my threads, you dummies. I'm not wasting time on people too stupid to read things or watch a video, God forbid. And by the way, it's totally okay to be wrong about something, but you have to be willing to educate yourself about things that you're wrong about, or you never make any progress in life on anything. If you can't watch a 2-hour video, by the way, I sent them the Is TTSA a Techno Scam video that we did here that lays all out very clearly that yes, TTSA allegedly was a techno scam in which millions of dollars was raised. They allegedly lied to investors, both about Lou Elizondo's resume and about what they were promising, like alien spaceship parts and a whole complete total new alien spaceship we're building. None of the investors got any of their money back. It's all laid out in a 2-hour video with an overwhelming amount of evidence that my statements are factually accurate and correct. Don't tell me I'm wrong and then refuse to see the evidence. That infuriates me, and you are too dumb for me to talk to. I don't have time to talk to stupid people. Now, people who want to ask me questions or are generally respectful, I have no problem with any of those people. And I get it. Part of this gig is you got to be a public figure and you have to have social media interaction with the audience. I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to be harassed, threatened, intimidated by a bunch of brand new sock puppet accounts. That's another thing. If you want to ask me a question, come with your real name, you pussy. For all I know, that's Dave Grush and Lou Elizondo in this Twitter thread arguing with me about Grush being real. And we know that Lou Elizondo has used sock puppet accounts. We know that is true. So I don't want to argue with nameless, faceless accounts that could be anyone. I want to know who I'm speaking to. I'm giving you my name and my face. Don't I deserve the same courtesy in return? Or are you too much of a pussy? Only a pussy hides behind sock accounts like Lou Elizondo provably did. Only a pussy does that. I'm not a pussy. Here's my face. Here's my name. Here's all my links, right? Here's who you're speaking to. Why won't these people, right? Thank you. Hank McGurk says, I think you're doing a better job than ever before, Cambion. I appreciate that. Tales of the Sonic Voyage. Steven needs to show more emotions here. How far to chill, I think. What about Robert Dean? I know he's a wackadoo. Yeah, he made a career telling the same story at UFO conventions for 30 years. And the NORAD actually had to come out with a statement that there was no assessment, or things that he talked about weren't real. It was a fake story and he sold it. Danielle Ashley is here and says, they attacked me this morning for calling them out. Well, Danielle Ashley, one of the things about telling the truth is you should do it even if you get attacked for it. And people who attack you for telling the truth, especially in my case, are like, Danielle, I have all this evidence. I have paperwork. I have documents proving what I'm saying. Oh, we don't want to see it. It's kind of childish and nonsensical. If people are attacking you for asking questions or telling the truth, then they're pussies. And, that's what this is, more proof. These fake sock puppet accounts arguing with people and attacking people, threatening people. It's more proof that this is a cult-like, evidence-free, faith-based belief system, right? Quite like a religion or a cult. Jinda seems like Dr. Stephen Greer and his alien contact app are the only legit alien contacts that exist. Oh, and Linda Moulton Howe and the murdered cows. If you say so, Stephen Greer and his alien contact app are the only legit alien contacts. You don't really believe Stephen Greer can speak to aliens and summon spaceships, do you? Constant typos, but you saved $100. I don't know what that's about. All right, comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Patty, put those boundaries, Stephen. It's important. Yeah, I mean, and anybody that knows me knows if you approach me respectfully, I'll read whatever people. I have read 10-page emails that people send me because I feel like they took the time to type this out. Let me see what this is about and give them a reply. A lot of people send me a big, long, huge email about some experience they had, and I'm interested in those strange experiences people have. I read everything people send me, as long as people are respectful. And if they're respectful, look, if somebody's respectful to me, I'm respectful back. There were others called not ready for prime time. You don't want to have softies dictate to you. If you say so, yeah. Wingnut says, Stephen Greer is definitely lizard-like. Yes. Hank McGurk, there appear to be priests and priestesses of occult philosophies. Could be. So, listen, we've done our due diligence. I think that we're going to call this one a quick one. And yes, a 2-hour one is quick. But before I close out tonight's broadcast, at the risk of an awful lot more work for me this week, let me know in the live chat, in the comments, or in the reply to this video if you're watching the replay. Should we continue these 10 and 12-hour long deep dives this weekend? I thought we could do one on Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and all their false claims and fake stories. We can do one on Bob Lazar and one on Skinwalker Ranch. I've already made the one for Bob Lazar, and that is 11 and a half hours. And I have the material downloaded and ready to edit. And by the way, I don't do very much editing. Sometimes there's an hour of me talking to the live chat at the end of one of these presentations of evidence, so I cut those. And I'm sorry to do that, but I just don't think that people want to see me talk to a live chat that is from 2 years ago or whatever the case may be. So Pete Barry says, what about Nick Pope? He is the fake UFO program director of the British UFO program. He never ran a UFO program. He's a bit like Lou Elizondo. He claimed to run a UFO program. He claimed that he investigated alien abductions, crop circles, and more for the British government, but the British government actually issued a statement saying that's not true. We don't investigate those things. The only UFO things they investigate are matters of national security. So I think Nick Pope is not very credible at all. I think the more people who see your video, the better. Thank you, Kimmy77. I appreciate that. Yeah. Hank McGurk, I believe you should, if you can, because a question I have, does it harm to not be at your best. I don't know what you mean by that. Is yes, I have found the evidence and proof. She really is. I think she's the great granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the former United States president after World War II, famous World War II general. She is definitely related to him. People have proven that several times. But somehow her being related to Laura being related to a former president is all the legitimacy or proof that people need. And she does have kind of a cult-like follower, right? Can we get an update on Wilcox suspect facial disease? Oh, we'll be doing a Wacky World of Wilcox episode probably tomorrow, unless I'm not really sure what else we're doing tonight. But yeah, I don't have an update for you. I'll update you when we do the next Wacky World of Wilcox. For those unaware, there's a lot of rumors flying around, and I freely admit this is rumors, so take from it what you will, that David Wilcox got herpes somehow because he had these what look like herpes sores. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing him, but this is what people are saying. He looked like he had herpes sores around his eye and around his lips. So people were saying that he somehow got herpes. I don't know if that's true. We'll try to find out. I'll try to give you an update on the possibility that David Wilcox has herpes. I don't know. Admiral Rascal says, ew. Who do you think is the most credible voice in the UFO community? I don't know. I mean, I'm always hesitant to name people, but people know. I like Jeremy Rise, the alien scientist. I like John from the Black Vault. I like Stephen Greenstreet's reporting. I like Art Levine. I like a few other people. But quite honestly, AJ, the number of people that I count as people that are doing a good job incredibly reporting on these things is I could count them on one hand. I've just rattled off a few to you. I'm sure there's a few more. Ryder from Raised by Giants, he does a good job, but I disagree with him on many things. There's nobody I'm going to agree with on everything, but I agree that those people are doing good work. You should check them out. And Mick West as well, who, by the way, I just had another conversation with. Mick West says I'm too much of a skeptic to come on my show, or I'm too aggressive or something like that, which really doesn't make any sense because Mick West goes on Jimmy Church and other shows that sell complete and total fake stories. I've been asking him for an interview for several years now. He won't do it. And that's unfortunate, but, I got to respect his decision. Skeptic meets believer. Steven, maybe you could try the CE5 protocols from your cabin and stream it live. Point some cameras at the sky so we can meet those alleged aliens. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, but is a webcam really good enough to do a Skywatch and broadcast it live? I don't think so, but maybe I'll give that a try. Yeah, I don't know. Midwest is here and says, I enjoy the 10-hour shows as a sleeping aid. However, I personally would appreciate a limiter on the volume level so there's no abrupt interruption. Yeah, sometimes I start screaming out of nowhere. Why is the UFO Watchdog account dead? I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in some time. I've asked him for an interview a few times. I speak to him on Twitter. He's still on Twitter, to the best of my knowledge. But I'm not sure about his YouTube channel. He's kind of been very inactive, and for those that are aware, UFO Watchdog was kind of like super skeptical of these people long before me and has this website, UFOWatchdog.com. I'm going to try to buy that .com from him. He's not really using it. Just something that I thought of, right? Wingnut says, use your cell phone for it. You can live stream a Skywatch on a cell phone. I think you would need a DLSR or a really good camera. I don't know. IV Cam link, and you have an awesome webcam. Yeah. Admiral Rascal says maybe the CE5 would work and you'll get disclosure before the grifters. Now that would be funny. That would definitely be funny. Yeah. So listen, we've done our due diligence. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you will be here with me. We want to take a moment to thank you kind and generous benefactors, you PayPal pledgers, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube super chatters, YouTube super sticker, YouTube super thanks, PayPal pledgers, Twitch subscribers. We thank each and every one of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Tomorrow, I suppose, we have to go through 3.5 hours of David Wilcock's latest bullshittery. I'm really not looking forward to it. You know, when I first started doing those Wacky World of Wilcock episodes, I thought, this is funny, this is great. But quite honestly, some of his streams are so boring that it's hard to make a funny or decent show out of listening to him. It's just like, he really just sounds like a mental patient in a mental institution rambling about aliens and UFOs and angels and airwaves and all this other nonsense. It's crazy. And I haven't listened to his latest stream. I don't think I'm going to. I'll just do it live. Hopefully it'll be a better one. But Wilcock is back, and that means I'm actually, kind of looking forward to him going away for 6 months again, because this covering him every week, I think, is too much. Every 2 or 3 weeks maybe, but every week. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also let me know in the live chat, do we want to continue these 10-hour streamathons for this weekend as well? I think it went well, but then I think that we're kind of tiring the audience out. Tonight we didn't have very good attendance, but then again, a lot of people aren't even aware of who Karl Nell is or what the SALT conference is, so maybe it's just the subject matter. Who knows, right? But in any case, we've done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here. I think we're going to pull the trigger and do those 3 10 or 12-hour streams again this weekend. I got to say, it was incredible from a fundraising perspective. I had no idea that people would be in that live chat throwing super chats for 10 hours straight. Thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. It's much, much appreciated. So what can I say to wrap up? Karl Nell is using the wackadoo prover maneuver. When asked for evidence, he says, some wackadoos who got their information from other wackadoos said this. Therefore, it must be true. I think we have to really be careful not to accept things like the wackadoo prover maneuver as evidence. Multiple people saying something is not proof that it's true. You know what is proof it's true? Evidence it's true. But that is severely lacking in the UFO community, and that's unfortunate. I don't think that Karl Nell has any firsthand knowledge of anything. I think he's just in with the same group of, Stephen Greenstreet calls them the spooky hustlers. I call them the UFO circle jerk squad or the UFO grift squad, con job squad. He's apparently in with all these people, and I don't think he has any evidence. If he did, if people have evidence when you ask them for it, they show it to you. They don't dodge questions and make excuses or say, well, a lot of people are saying it, so it must be true. That's not evidence. It's so weak. And I just don't understand why everybody got a disclosure boner off of this guy. Is it just because he said the aliens are real? And you don't even need evidence to get excited about somebody saying that anymore? It's a sad state of affairs, friends. But it is what it is, and this is where we find ourselves. I'm going to find myself in a bed soon. I've had a long day. I appreciate all the support today. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you'll be here with us. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night. God bless all of you.